Okay. So because this is such a big reading, Lena, I pre-channel a lot of the information just so we don't see me just constantly closing my eyes and going in. But the reason I start the session with the opening prayer, Akashic Records prayer, is because more information will come in. And as we're going back and forth, more information is going to come in. So it is really important to me to make this session personal, in depth, and not just here's the information and you get to do with it whatever you want, right? So as this information is given to you, please know that you can ask questions. If you don't understand anything or anything like that, you'll be showered with a lot of information. So you can ask questions, and past lives might come through as well. Okay, so past lives might come through, but this reading, so my soul purpose reading, is very specific, and it has certain areas. So if you don't understand something, please feel free to ask. Absolutely fine. Okay. So, and it was really interesting for your particular reading because I had to write down notes. There were a few little things coming through that might be relevant as well, which aren't like part of the big reading normally. So we're going to start with the actual blueprint of your lives and your soul gifts. So, Lena, you have had 329 earthly lifetimes. So, yeah, sometimes they tell me the number for all. Sometimes if it's been especially like a little bit, a lot, or they think, okay, you don't need to know the whole spectrum or you're not ready or whatever, they just tell me the earthly lifetimes. But you're definitely a star seed. You're not an earth soul. So 329 earth lives. Now, this can include lifetimes that you had as, like a squirrel or, something else. I don't particularly tap into them. I mean, I'm not going to say no if they bring it through. They haven't, animals or anything, or any parallel lives. I don't get that. I don't block it as well. But so this encompasses all of it. What I feel they're going to bring through for us today are 2 or 3 maybe lifetimes that are relevant to you right now. Because, I mean, first of all, 329 lifetimes, we would be sitting here for a week, right, going through them. And also, you don't, like, our minds would go into overwhelm knowing about all of that. So they kind of just give you what you need at this moment. So the next thing is your soul gifts. So let me tell you a little bit about soul gifts. The soul chooses particular gifts to use in each lifetime. Generally, they don't change so much, was my experience. However, a soul can take on new gifts because it has done so many lives and it's like ready to move on. Or it can put a gift into this dormant state. Usually when something happened in your timeline, perhaps that gift didn't serve the human in that lifetime, caused them perhaps to die or, be casted away, the soul will kind of close this gift off. So as I'm going through your gifts here, what I would like you to do is just, as I'm saying it to you, just take note of each gift. I mean, if you have pen and paper, you can write them down, but, just take note. If some gift doesn't resonate with you, it's probably because it's been, closed off. So what we're going to do with this is by me telling you these gifts, and you can either write it down or say it to yourself, just, quietly, repeat it after me. You're activating that gift. You're bringing it into your awareness. So what this will do is it will complete this activation cycle and it puts it into your awareness. So, and then you will find probably that very soon things will happen in your world. And even the gift that you go like, oh, I didn't know I have this gift, or I didn't resonate with it. All of a sudden you'll be like, oh, there it is. Okay, now I can see how I'm using it. So these soul gifts are like your superpowers. And it is what you use here to create your life, to help others, to, they're like your really good qualities. So you have 8 gifts. And generally, I find that my clients have somewhere between 5 and 7 is like norm. 8 and 9, I would say, is when you have had already your lifetimes and you've done a lot of spiritual work where now your soul has acquired another gift because you're ready to work here with others. So your first gift is teaching, guiding, and mentoring. Okay, teaching, guiding, and mentoring. They give me this gift in this threefold because they really want you to understand it's not about being a teacher that stands in front of a classroom and talks at students. You are here to guide, to mentor. So anything that you do in your life, it's not like you are know-it-all and you're trying really hard to like prove a point. It's more just that what you do and the knowledge that you acquire, you want to share it with others. So teacher, guide, and mentor. Number 2 is you're here to be a leader. And the way I see this gift is this beautiful dark road, like you can't see anything, and then I see you there walking with your little torch, and you can only see as far as the light of the torch, but you trust that you will find your way. And every now and then you turn around and you shine that light onto all the people that are following you, because they have nothing, they have no light, no idea, they're just blindly following you. And so with this, they always remind me that for this gift, you don't need to be a leader that sits on top of a mountain, you know, or some guru. You just need to be a few steps ahead and trust that what you know at that stage, you can share with those who are a few steps behind. So you have the gift of the leader. Number 3 is imparting information and communication. And this is really interesting because this gift pops up whenever someone is really good at explaining things or complex language, or maybe like industry-specific lingo. Psychics have it because they interpret spirit and put it out. And obviously you doing the work that you do, you understand, you know, stars and planets, and you bring that to us. And you also have the gift of the communicator as well. So this ease of communication and conveying your thoughts, but also making and explaining things in a very simple way. So the 4th gift is you inspire and motivate. Okay, you inspire and motivate. And this gift doesn't show up to make you feel like, oh, now I've got to go to Pinterest and find inspiring quotes or try hard to be this, you know, what's his name, Tony Robbins or whatever. You naturally have this gift of inspiring and motivating people. It could be your lifestyle choices, the way you dress. It could be just you doing your thing and you just share it, you know, and you think you're sharing it for yourself or because you want to, you know, have this you know, keepsake of memory. So you share photos perhaps on Instagram, but actually people are drawn to it and they get inspired and motivated by you. Number 5 is improving and maximizing systems. And this sounds very fancy, but the way I see this gift, usually the way they show it to me is there's this river and this dam made out of rocks, and there's these people that are trying to figure out how can we remove just a couple of rocks so that the water can flow through but without breaking the dam, and they can't work it out. And so then you come and you can see exactly which rock needs to be moved without destroying the whole thing. So basically you find easier, quicker, better ways to do things. You know, especially when people, I guess, are lost or lack clarity, you can see like where they need to go. So number 6 was a 2-fold gift for you. And I just need to explain that in general, I have come across like 34 soul gifts. gifts, right? And generally, these gifts are two separate gifts, but they show you like they're merged for you, and it's both in one. So the first one is you help people to succeed, and they specifically showed coach, right? Which is interesting for you, but they said, you know, not like a mediator, not like a teacher, you know, specific, but a coach. So you help people to succeed, but you also, and this is the second part of this gift, is you point out people's gifts. Now, what that is their abilities, their qualities, point out, you know, like through the chart, for example, where you can see, but that's a twofold gift that you have. So here, what they wanted to say, though, is you may have people, because generally when this gift pops up, you may have people in your life, perhaps like friends or something, that, you know, they would, I don't know, let's say they would be really good at painting, like, oh my God, you should be selling this, these are amazing, right? And so when people are ready and they're so-called activated, they're responsive audience, they will appreciate this because you can see something in them and you empower them. But if it's a non-responsive audience, this particular individual will think that you have high expectations, that you want so much from them, and they just can't live up to your expectations. So they might get frustrated. So to remember, that's what I said, to remember when this happens, why it's happening, and where you should be pouring that energy and that gift into, which is the responsive audience. Number 7 is catalyst for change. You're a catalyst for change. And this is why you are a bit of a trailblazer. You, in a way, are here to break cycles, because perhaps other family members, perhaps your parents, your grandparents, they led a particular life, but you are going off the branch completely and choosing different things, doing things differently. So you're kind of going to always be alone on your path because you're the first one to go, and you can't really look at anyone. Has anyone else done this? Is it okay for me to do it? So if you are trying to seek permission or seek answers, you know, is it okay for me to do it? Has anyone else done it? How do I do it? You will just find yourself quite frustrated and lacking clarity. You just have to go within and trust that you're being guided to go this way, or you're, you know, there's a reason why you feel so drawn to go this way, even though everyone's going that way. It's not going to be easy, because when you are the catalyst for change, you are part of the group of souls, the third group, which are here to elevate the frequency of the earth and bring us into the so-called new earth. So you're not doing anything as norm. You're not going to do what your parents did, or even that generation before that. And because of that, you might trigger the older generations who aren't awakened souls. You might trigger them because, you know, they have different paradigms that they work at or live at, different, you know, standards, and you're breaking free. You might often actually hear that things are so easy for you. You just think life is fun, but it's meant to be because you are following that bliss, right? So that's how you lead the way for all of us. So they're saying even now to just always remember, don't stop because you can't find anyone else who has already done this, because you're the first one going, okay? And even though I said you're alone on the path, you're not really alone, okay? You're just, there's no one else to kind of compare yourself to. Number 8, so the 8th gift is you're an intuitive empath. So what that means, I mean, we're all intuitive, right? We all have these gifts, but when this pops up, I feel usually when this pops up in a gift for my clients, it's because this is a tool for you to really use. Like your soul has used intuitive abilities in past lifetimes, and this is how you're here to use it as well. Now, you also have the empath part, and the empath says that you feel a lot of the energies from people. You feel what's happening. Now, this, it can be a curse because you will feel maxed out, tapped out quite easily. If you go, let's say, to a party, you will get, completely depleted. But it's also a fantastic gift because you're able to connect soul to soul on a much deeper level. And all you have to do is just really, if you haven't done this yet, if you haven't learned this yet, is just to work out your boundaries and how to protect yourself. When do we shrink the aura? When do we expand? So these are your 8 gifts. Now, how do you feel about them?
Yeah, I mean, well, they really resonate. I resonate with all of them, and most of them I can very clearly see in my chart as well. So yeah, it's just funny as you were describing things, I was just imagining my chart and
to
how
have
it
that
like
ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It really resonates.
Do you have any questions about this before we move on to, we're going deeper now?
Not about the actual gifts, but in the beginning you said about I'm a star seed. Mm-hmm. Can you explain a bit more about that?
Oh, we'll get to this part and I'll tell you which star seeds as well. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to leave you hanging with this. One thing though, because I take it sort of in chunks and it makes sure that you are following me, but also I want you to know this is really important. This is really important because it's your records, right? So let's say if we go into life lessons now and there is something that you go like, oh, this pertains to this current relationship or this past relationship or whatever, and it's really painful, I don't want to go there. This is why I ask you questions, because if you say, no, that's okay, I don't want to go there, they're not going to tell me, like they're not going to gossip about, Yeah. But at the same time, I just want you to know the reason I'm asking questions about particular people or whatever is just in case if you do want to go, I can give you more information, okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, so life lessons. So I'm just going to briefly describe to you what life lessons are, because often they get really misunderstood, and then I don't want you to walk away from this feeling this huge burden. So life lessons are kind of also called karmic lessons, and as soon as we mention the word karma, a lot of people believe it's this heavy punishment for something that you have done that you had no control over, right? So it's not like that. Life lessons are really just these threads that weave through your life, okay? They're like the topics. It's your soul's mission. Your soul really came down here to learn these things, right? To experience. And people in your life and certain events, certain situations or patterns have happened or occurred or are coming into your life to help you learn these life lessons. Mm-hmm. So you as a soul have chosen fellow souls, to be either your guides, cheerleaders, or your teachers. Mm-hmm. Your cheerleaders are the ones that support you, love you. So you could be, falling over all the time, letting them down, disappointing. They will always be like, yes, they're here for you. Your cheerleaders are great, right? Because they offer you support, but you learn more from the teachers, and the teachers are the people that you clash with, the people that you don't get along with, because they, through their actions, through their words, actually offer you opportunities to learn these life lessons. So now with the life lessons, there's generally one or two that are very dominant, very much obvious. And then there is secondary ones, and they could be either something that your soul wants to learn, it's a new thing, but let's get to the top ones first. Once we manage those, we can move the other ones. Or perhaps your soul has already dealt with them in other lifetimes, hasn't fully learned them, so thought, I'll throw it in for good measure. Now, it's important to remember that, again, this is not a to-do list. This is not something that now you have to start ticking off. Back in the dark ages, in other lifetimes, often a soul would not have learned a life lesson in a lifetime because they weren't able to awaken. Now we are awakening much quicker, and so we become aware of it. So now when you're aware of it, you can understand perhaps your life better, perhaps certain dynamics with people, perhaps you will understand why certain patterns keep coming up. So in no particular order, it's more around the strength of these life lessons energetically, but this is how they came in. So the first one is persistence. So seeing things through or sticking with something. And so you may have experienced this in your life in this way, like perhaps, you're someone who starts things and, and then kind of after a while goes, okay, I'm kind of done with this now, I'm bored, or, or perhaps you get impatient very quickly, right? Now, if this is you and this keeps happening, it doesn't mean that now you have to try really, really hard to be persistent, but it gives you an understanding of why am I like this, or why certain things are happening. And the more you kind of make peace with this and kind of understand, okay, this is part of why I'm here, you will find that these situations will ease, and you will find that you're accepting and acknowledging yourself, not judging, but loving, through situations where perhaps, again, I didn't see something through, or again, I got burnt out. So this also may explain why perhaps a 9-to-5 job would actually be soul crushing for you. So even though you're here to learn persistence, it's on your terms. It's not going to a job, now, because you will definitely be persistent there because you have to listen, right? And do, and follow, whoever, your boss or whatever. So this is really important to remember. So persistence is number one. Number two is bliss and happiness. So this is one together. And they actually said that that's how you connect to your intuition. So whenever you follow your bliss and happiness, you will be on the right path. Okay, so when you connect to your heart chakra and you go like, okay, is this path going to bring me that bliss and happiness? Does it feel like bliss and happiness? And if it feels like yes in your body, in your heart, then go for it. Doesn't matter if there's other people who say it doesn't make sense, Lena, this isn't logical, you shouldn't make this. So bliss and happiness, always follow. And then remember, because you're the catalyst for change, you will trigger people with this, because they might go like, oh, this is so easy for you. Like you just pick, easy situations. You don't want to do this, or you don't want to do that. But the thing is also to remember with bliss and happiness, when you follow bliss and happiness, like we start a business, for example, this passion project, right? And it fills us with bliss and happiness. And we often end up working 90 hours, right? But the idea of going into, a paid 9-to-5 job, and even doing 40 hours can go like, oh my gosh, this is soul crushing, because it's not your bliss and happiness. So always connect to that. And this isn't so much a lesson as an experience that your soul wants to have in this lifetime. Now, then we have also patience. And it's funny that this didn't drop straight away with persistence, but patience. But when we get to your starseed lineage, you will probably get a better understanding of why patience is. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's again an experience, okay? Because your soul has acquired qualities from a starseed that's very fast paced, but this world works at a much slower pace. So whether it's manifesting things, whether it's waiting for an answer or anything like that, you just have to remind yourself that, okay, things happen faster up there when I'm not in my human body, but my human body is limited. It operates in a limiting pattern in a world that has its own limiting rules. So I have to be patient, okay? And the more actually you get frustrated with this, they're saying, the more you will experience interactions, events, opportunities, that are pulling you into being patient. So then we have self-love. And I feel like this one is not a new life lesson. Your soul has gone through lifetimes. They're showing me 11 lifetimes where it tried to learn this. So the energy isn't as intense, which is why I feel like it's part of your work here. So as you are still here, you know, going like, okay, what else can I learn about self-love, you know, this time around? You're also using this in helping others. So perhaps you attract clients who, you know, struggle with self-love, who struggle to love their body or themselves, or perhaps are in challenging relationships where they give up who they are for the sake of pleasing this other person, right? So for you, this is more like simultaneously happening. You're still learning a few bits, but mostly it's also how you help others. And the last one is abundance. Abundance. So your soul is here to learn abundance. Now, with abundance, they're saying this goes back to lifetimes where you actually struggled. It's only the lifetime before this one and this one here where your soul had the opportunities, like really opportunity to experience abundance, but it hasn't fully mastered it. The lifetime before that, actually, they're showing me you as a man, and you were this goes back to, like, I think the beginning of 1900s. I'm trying to place what it was more, because you were hiding people and you were hiding them, but people were paying you to hide them. But then, okay, so the army was coming, and there was someone there that was then paying you to give up these people. And so in that lifetime, you desired to be wealthy. You started off really poor, and you've worked really hard. But as you acquired, you know, this money, which they're saying, if people were saying it's dirty money, it wasn't clean money, you know, because you didn't acquire it. I mean, it wasn't illegal or anything, but it was through this, like, take from these, right? So you would, as you became wealthier, you forgot why you wanted to learn abundance, and it had to do with gratitude. And so they're showing you that you were helping, like, these families, and this goes back to Russia, actually. Russia. This goes back to Russia. And then you gave them up. So they thought that you're putting them on a cart to be taken, to go away, to escape, but actually they were going right into the hands of these enemies. And I see it as army. So when your soul crossed over, when this man died, your soul had a life review. Now, no one ever judges actions and tells you were bad or something. But when you saw your life review, you realized that this human that had this free will didn't use it in a nice, benevolent way. And so your soul decided to come into this lifetime and again start kind of from ground zero and witness, I believe they're your parents who had to work really hard to acquire this money, and you needed to see what that is, like building yourself up again, to instill in you this code of, no matter how wealthy you will get, you will remember that it's not your money to keep, but you're here to help others. So the money that you want to bring in isn't just for you to, okay, so I have to say, because it's not like they're not going to give you the money to use for you, but it's more like you have this deeper desire that yes, you want to enjoy life, you want to have experiences. They're showing me experiences over materialistic things, but you also want to, you know, put it where someone else will benefit, right? Whether it's like people in your community, whether it's with clients, whether it's build something that will facilitate more, whether it's to travel and connect with as many people as possible. But you needed this experience of these hard times. So dare I even say that when you were growing up with your family and migrating, that things were hard and they had to like start from the beginning. And really, you had to witness that you were not like other kids who had whatever they wanted necessarily straight away, but you had to learn about there's more important things than, let's say, designer clothes, you know, as a kid or whatever. And you chose very strong souls to be in your life, showing you this, but also, and again, because we're not reading for your parents, but what the energy that's coming through is that perhaps they didn't fully ever allow themselves to enjoy then what they built. Okay, it was, and this could be maybe because they're also part of the group of souls that came here to help rebuild, right? Rebuild this earth. There's a whole thing that we could talk about, but it has to do with 3 groups of volunteers. And the first one came after or around World War II, when, you know, the atomic bomb blew off. So that's not allowed to happen. So the first group came to rebuild. So they were all about, you know, work hard, strong work ethics. There wasn't much room about for feelings and how do you feel and talking with your kids. It was just do as I'm told, right? And then the next group was the ones that are kind of like moving away from it, but they're still going like, okay, because they're paving the way for the third group, which is you. So all in all, basically the abundance, let's land the plane for you, because this is a very significant part, and you're here drawn to create abundance, and you shouldn't feel bad or guilty for. Now, I know that your particular work is sort of also borderline spiritual work in many ways, and often spiritual people feel like because they have this gift, they shouldn't charge for it, or they shouldn't charge much for it. But the thing is, they're saying, you are here to live and experience it. Remember, you're here to motivate people, to inspire people, to show them the way. And the more you connect with that you're here to pave the way, the less you will feel like you have to apologize for it or that it's a bad thing, because the wealth that is going to come to you is going to be for you to play with and then release it, right? And the release will look different for you than, let's say, for me. So yes, so these are your life lessons. And so when you think about people in your life or situations, and how perhaps there are certain people that, you know, maybe question you when you follow your bliss and happiness, or perhaps people that have tainted your, you know, way of loving yourself. Perhaps it was a bully in, you know, whatever, at school, anything like that. And also interesting enough that coming into like, so I had this as well, but you're here to learn a little bit about self-love, right? And that abundance and bliss and happiness. So coming into another country or changing schools, we often feel like we're different, we're on the outside, we don't fit in. And that's really important to remember, that you're never meant to fit in, not Earth, not the environments, because from those polarities, you learned about self-love. It's like it was mirrored to you. Okay, the more you were, let's say, picked on, or that difference was highlighted to you, the more that was an opportunity to go like, I still love me, right? So how do we feel about the life lessons?
Yeah, they all really resonate too. And again, are like reflected in my chart.
Oh.
Different ways. Yeah. Yeah, particularly like with, I'll just share some, like with bliss and happiness, like I what my chart shows is that my past life experiences were incredibly painful, and that now it's hard for me in this life to inhabit my body because my life was full of so much suffering for a long time. And I can feel, just like constantly feel, that being blissful or joyful or happy, or like that is really something I'm supposed to be embracing and allowing in my life. And like and coming from that, part of what I'm moving toward, according to my chart, is to build my own financial foundations, to create my own financial resources, my own abundance that is birthed through my values, my gifts, my self-worth. Because also I've had many past life experiences where I was like the right-hand person to people in power. Like I was the one they sought for wisdom or advice. And through my connections to them, I had a lot of privilege and I had access to a lot of resources. But there was almost like this pattern that developed where I felt as though I couldn't do it without somebody else, that like I needed that connection to somebody in power in order to have abundance. And part of what I'm learning in this life is I can create my own abundance. Yeah.
Isn't it wonderful how you've chosen your particular parents with their particular mission to bring you this far, you know, to a place where maybe that is more possible, where perhaps expectations on the girl are different and less, and you can have that, paving that path moving forward a little bit easier than but abundance, it's definitely focusing on that and not get bogged down by, as they say, these naysayers or people who say, you know, no, you have to work hard, you know, and stuff, because that's like, what's work hard? You know, like everyone will have a different definition, but there are people like that who are perhaps making it a little bit harder for you. And abundance and self-love and bliss and happiness stand out to me as well, as almost like these are the guiding stars moving you forward, as opposed to the other two are just sort of like to understand maybe, but these ones are to really move you forward. So do you have any questions before we move to the starseed?
No.
Okay, so we are now moving to starseeds, and here are my other notes. Let me just move this, because oh my gosh, this was so exciting for me to read. I'm just gonna, because it kind of goes like, oh, well, it's not very random then that you have found yourself doing what you're doing with your head amongst the stars, right? It is not random. So where did I write this down? Okay, so what is really, really important? There we go. So with the starseeds, the way I explain it is we have been pretty much everything, everywhere at one point, something you were. But our human minds kind of can't get behind this, like how? And so whenever I go into someone's Akashic records and a starseed pops up, I just asked to be shown the most relevant starseed, what's it called? Tribes or starseed races that are very relevant to you that you need to know in this lifetime. And the first one that comes is your soul origin. So this is where, like, the first where you went. And then a couple of other ones that might complement the picture so that we understand exactly who you are. And so the way I see it is, it's kind of like, let's say, you know, you're born in, I don't know, let's say Greece, right? And you are 5 and your parents decide, okay, we're going to migrate now to Germany, right? So you still have the language, some traditions, but now you embody and, you know, you take on the German language, the German traditions. And then let's say as an adult, you decide, I'm going to move to America, right? So then you still retain your lineage of these countries and the traditions and the language. It doesn't just disappear. So the same is with the lineage of starseed. So the first starseed, so your soul origin, Lena, is Syrian. You're Syrian. And Syrians, I mean, especially with lions going, hello, this is so powerful. But Syrians highly evolved, a highly evolved race of souls. They are very evolved with inventions and technology. Now, not necessarily, like, I'm not talking about they have computers and stuff, but just the coding, the innovative ways that help us create things here that elevate our way of being and Earth. So, for example, if you think about Albert Einstein, Tesla, Jobs, I believe they were Syrians. They had ahead of time thinkers. You know, people often were like, what are you talking about, right? Rejected their ideas. So you come from that. That's your soul group. So that's the most strongest energy within you. You have, so Syrians have a special affinity with technologies and tools to improve people's lives. And please don't think it has to be like computer and stuff and you're like, I have no idea about computers, I'm not good. It's technologies, even like, for example, the chakra system or energies, or how, you know, you do astrology, how that affects us. So it could be all of that. It could be the ethereal technologies or the physical technologies. Syrians are very big on self-improvement, and they love to improve systems and organizations. So, like, you know, finding better ways, again, for living, for doing things. They're very committed to their own personal development, but also simultaneously, they like to help others on their journey. And sometimes will make projects out of people that are part of that non-responsive audience. So, you know, like I have had clients who perhaps tried to fix up their partners, but their partner's not wanting that, you know, so that's the non-responsive. But I think you've placed yourself in a beautiful career, because this is what you get to do with people who come to you and say, I am here because I need to change something, you know. So you are in this perfect place to do exactly that. So they also enjoy processes and, you know, like systems, sacred geometry, you know, like planets. And it's probably one of the races that as a human can struggle a little bit, because while they are very intuitive and they can tap in and they with ease allow information to come in, channeled or downloads or whatever, they're still very linear and logical, because when you are not in this body, the way you know, create these codes, the way you help humanity evolve, you know, with these ideas is by being linear. And obviously you don't have a mind when you're not in your body, but you're very quick thinker, you know. Like Syrians have been contributed to the building of the pyramids of Giza, right? So that kind of technology. So obviously as a human, it's you may have that struggle between intuitive mind and logical mind. If you were, let's say, in a psychic development class, you know, that would be kind of the battle we would have to tackle. But for you, I feel like you have picked a perfect medium, because you look at the charts and it's like, well, you don't have to, you have something tangible is I guess what I'm trying to say. And so looking at that and then using your gift of communication and interpreting this and making it easy for us, you're connecting these two, plus your love for helping people and improving them, right? This flows beautifully. So whenever even you come to a place where you grow even more spiritually, but you don't want to use, let's say, cards or whatever, right? Usually Syrians use cards because they need that tangible something. Just know that like astrology or charts or sacred geometry, light language is really like, you will be activated like this if you're not already. And the reason you're activated quickly, all Syrian souls get activated super fast, is because all Syrian souls carry an ethereal implant within them, in their between the root, between the heart and their solar plexus. It's not like a implant where you get, controlled or anything. It's just that this is how you connect with other souls. And this is why light language can activate in you very quickly. So I have clients who are Syrians who are healers and transmitters and interpreters and channelers of light language. On a more practical level, as a Syrian soul, you are also good at making plans and being organized, but organized has to be your way. So not necessarily follow someone else's routine. That kind of leads to burnout. But when you create your own routine and are organized, have your to-do list, that works well because it is on your terms. Okay, so what they said, what to keep in mind is, as a Syrian soul, it can be hard for you sometimes to take risks. And that's usually when you go into your analytical mind and you start analyzing the outcomes, the risks, and stuff. So, but when you let go of that and trust that, you can connect to that inner wisdom, that channel that you are, that intuitive mind, you will actually see that you're here for the experience. So whatever the outcome is, it's not going to be positive or negative, good or bad, a fail or pass. It's going to be an experience that you will appreciate. And that will also help you to get unstuck whenever you feel like, I know I should be going this way, but I'm stuck, or, for whatever reason. So connecting to your soul level is going to help you. They also don't like to attract attention with their accomplishments, right? Syrian souls, they kind of like to stand in the background and let, people just, like, I know I helped you, you shine, that sort of thing. So in terms of, if you ever want to be on bigger stages, public speaking and stuff, I don't know how your fear is around that, but generally Syrian souls are a little bit apprehensive. Not that they can't do it, of course you can do anything, but that initial fear of, oh my gosh, there's going to be all these people looking at me, or now I'm going to get more attention, more responsibility, that could potentially be a block. So if you're heading that way, to keep that in mind, that if that's something that's blocking you. And this is possibly why in your past lives you said that your success came by working with other powerful people. So you were kind of in the shadow there and you were getting your slice of the cake, but you didn't have to be front stage and be the one, who has to lead this operation, let's say. So as a Syrian soul, this is fantastic. You respond well to sacred geometry. And I would recommend also for you, if you want to help connect to Syrian souls, there is this code. Let me just see what it's called. Just give me 2 seconds, because this code is what will, what's it called? You can Google it, you can find it. It's called, hang on, Simplex. Okay, Simplex. So it's SIMPLEX, 10 Simplex, that code. And that's good to use before you start meditating if you want to connect to those energies and activate anything that I said about Sirian, saying like, oh yeah, I would like that higher wisdom or qualities that they embody. Okay, so then your soul came into the Pleiadians, right? And from the Pleiadians, so you have taken a little bit of it. It's not your main, I've got to find my notes here. It's not your main star seed lineage, but basically what I can tell you about Pleiadians is that they they like to move from A to B super fast. They don't care about the little details in between, you know, so you just want to, I'm here and I want this and I want it done yesterday, right? So often Pleiadians don't finish things or don't see things through because they, you know, like, oh, this is taking too long. Oh, this is not like how I imagined, right? So when it comes, for example, to business, they like to do, let's say using your example, they would like, you know, maybe posting, maybe coaching actual clients, but the bookkeeping or the business side of it, yeah, that's not really, you know, that's that boring, unsexy middle part. And so what they say about that is outsourcing the parts that you know you have to do but can't, you know, because they don't, you know, they bore you, will benefit you. As a Pleiadian, the reason you are impatient down here is because when they are not in their physical bodies, they are the architects, the creators, and so they're the great manifestors. Everything happens super fast, you know, like they just, let's say, okay, I'm going to use the word think, even though they don't have a mind, but let's say they think and things happen, right? Teleporting, telecommunication, it just happens instantly. And so when they started coming down here, everything was slower, and it was like a fast moving car that is now has to stop. It still rolls. And so actually the first few lifetimes, you know, that Pleiadians have chosen were very adrenaline driven, action packed. They were warriors, they were barbarians, they were conquerors, because of that lifestyle of acquiring things fast, you know, that action. It's not that they were bad souls, it's just they were drawn to this fast paced, you know, lifestyles rather than a little, you know, farmer on a farm, you know. And so as a Pleiadian, first of all, you have amazing manifesting abilities because that co-creation still happens. So even though it's not your primary soul group, you embody some of the qualities from those Pleiadians. So manifesting, one thing, but you just have to remember that you have to be patient because everything happens slower here. The other thing is that getting from A to B as well and fast, but also you are here to work with light as well. So they are the light workers, they're called the light workers. So the more your energy is high vibe and you're feeling good, the more you will bring in people that are like you or people that need what you have, not the drainers, but just need what you have. So if we think about clients, for example, you know, the more your energy is that high vibe, pure, the more you will bring people who are like, oh God, I love her light, I need what she has, kind of thing. And friends, you know, friends want to hang out with you, people want to hang out with you because you have that beautiful energy about you. So as a Pleiadian, you can manipulate that. And then the last one that they want you to know about is that you are a Mentakian also. You didn't spend much time there because Mintaka, or actually Artuvia is the planet, blew up. There was a whole thing. Somehow Syrians are involved with this. Now, I am not a galactic channeler, so I don't go and ask about the histories. I usually, when I go in, I just go like, okay, why does my client need to know about this? But let's say Mintaka stopped existing. And so Mintakians were actually one of the first soul groups to come down here and assist in this Earth School project, because they want to be of service. So remember, this is a lesser frequency for you. These energies that Mintakians bring, it's lesser for you, but you will find resonance. And again, if you connect to Mintakins, you can amplify these energies within you so you can work with them. Mintakins are here to be of service. They believe that. So the more you connect to that, actually, which I think we spoke about as well yesterday, when you connect to that, you amplify everything in your life, like things run smoother. They are also, they can't harm a fly. Like they are constantly giving people second chances. They always want to believe in the good. So you might find, for example, with clients that you will be the one that will be like, you know, not giving up on them. You won't give up on them. Even if they're ready to give up, you're like, no, we've got this. We can do this. In relationships, they're saying just be mindful of that, because of your beautiful light. People who don't appreciate this will be attracted to you, and they will take advantage of it, leaving you. And because you always want to see the good in them, and you have the Syrian, which is like, I can fix him, you know, I can make it better. You might end up feeling a little bit sad when, you know, they don't appreciate that and kind of leave you. Use you, or you know, like, yeah, take advantage for you. So they're saying, but when we are activated as these Mintakins, you expand that light and you channel it where people need it. So it'll be great for your clients, it'll be great for friends who love you. Mintakins are often homebodies as well. So they tend to travel and find their, like looking for their home, okay? Because they know, because as Mintakins, I'm a Mintakin soul, we know we can never go back, right? There's no place, like we feel like, okay, our planet is gone. And so we can't go home. So we try to find our utopia down here. But this earth feels very raw, very rough compared to like what Mintaka was. And so because we continue to compare, we struggle with finding a space. But once when we find a home, we become homebodies. It's like a safety net. You also uplift people. You bring positive energies into the physical, and you may have that battle because between taking big leaps, not taking big leaps, because Mintakians are good at taking leaps of faith, but Syrians like to think. So again, it's that battle between intuitive and analytical mind. You are in high alignment with the divine light. So not only are you very kind, very empathetic to human suffering, to people suffering, and you couldn't be malicious even if you tried, but also, again, just remembering your boundaries need to be extra high because people will be drawn to this light, and you have it from both Pleiadians and Mintakians. You may feel a bit wary of this planet because, again, Mintaka was crystalline waters. There was, you know, dolphins, mermaids, you know, those sort of, so you might be drawn to it, and actually maybe dolphin or whale sounds might be soothing for you when you're stressed out. Because it's almost like, even though it's not your full home, but it is resonance to a place you've been, and it can soothe and regulate your nervous system. But you have to remember, this planet is not as perfect as Mintaka. There are people doing bad things, you know, everyone has free will, so they do willy-nilly what they want. And instead of kind of feeling like you have to battle them, just start creating your own utopia, right? Like if you create your community, your little safe haven, your little space, it will amplify. It will amplify. So that's about starseeds. We have 2 more to go, 2 more points to cover. So tell me, how are we feeling?
Great. I'm loving it. Yeah, and I really resonate with all of those things you just shared too about the starseed.
Oh, good. Good. We're tapping already into all these energies and just bringing them through and amplifying them. Beautiful. So now we're going to talk about your afterlife career. And the afterlife career, I've got to find my notes. I've got 2 notes because I had to go. Sometimes I have to go in twice to get all the information. So I've got my notes here and I've got my notes down. But we are going to talk about your afterlife career, because your afterlife career actually will explain to us Are we here? Oh yeah, we're here. It will explain to us more about the qualities that you embody here, and it gives us more insight on what you're here to do, I guess, right? I mean, as you could see through the reading, there's bits and pieces in each one that kind of paint the picture, but this one talks more about the qualities and how to use them to be in alignment for the work that you're here to do. So your afterlife career. So the way this is shown to me is that when we're not here in our physical body in this world, we are choosing usually 1 or 2 rounds that we want to do our work experience at. So, you know, we can't just be bumming around on the other side. We're going to do something. And so your soul has chosen these 2, life review counselor and dream master. Now, so you go between these rounds and help. The only thing they didn't show me is whether you've done both before coming here, or whether this last, in between this last lifetime and this lifetime, you were in one only. But both felt relevant for me to share with you. So, so the first one is the life review counselor. So yes, you are a natural born counselor, fantastic listener, but somehow, because you can hold this sacred space for people and you're familiar, especially with people crossing over, and that moment when they, so you don't, when you're in this life review round, you don't deal with people who have just crossed over and need to be made aware where they are, but you deal with people who are looking at their life review, and it's very emotional, even, and I'm saying emotional just so we can bring it into perspective using human terminology. Obviously, you don't have a body, you don't have a system there, but it's very big for souls to see their life, you know, in review, and all the key players and all the people, and see all aspects and know, oh, okay, maybe that wasn't a good choice. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Now I can see how my actions have affected someone. And so their energies can drop, they're saying. And when they are feeling this and their energy can drop, they go into these lower realms, which is often the slumber chambers, because they're unable to raise higher and receive healing. So you are there to guide them, to maintain that energy up so that they don't spiral down. So again, as a soul who doesn't have the human body, the human emotional system, but still has these human traits because they've just crossed over, their way of manipulating that energy is hard. So what this means is that because you're this great listener and can hold space, you hold that steady vibration for people and allow humans to unravel even, allow them to be themselves and be at their ugliest, perhaps, as they see. And then you kind of help to piece them together, okay, so that their vibration can rise, which is maybe giving them clarity, perspective. But also for you, this means that you have experienced situations that, you know, are traumatic, challenging, big transitions. Not everyone experiences these, but you have chosen to be like this person's guide when they're transitioning, right? Or when they're going through big things, maybe a friend that's going through big things. You have made the soul contract before coming here to be the guide in that moment, because you know that you can hold the energy for yourself and for them. You also understand their patterns. And again, this could be because of the modality that you have chosen. Now, in my opinion, I believe you have this wisdom within you, but you're using astrology as this sort of picture, like this tangible thing, like to show this is what I'm talking about. But you have this within you, and that's what allows you to see beyond this tragedy or beyond, you know, like this person falling apart. Like you can already see you're going to be okay. This is how this is serving you. Now, other people trust you. So it could be your Mintakan Pleiadian energy. Could be that you are this life review counselor, but strangers like kind of feel compelled to share their life story with you, right? Yeah, because they can feel that energy that you've got them, you hold space for them. And because you're such a great listener, I believe that your clairsentient is quite active or activating, or can activate if you choose. And receive guidance through that. You are non-judgmental. And this is another thing that your friends value, family value, but also clients value, people, strangers, because you create a safe space for them. So in terms of what the soul training in this particular realm has given you, the gift that you brought forward, is that also you have this natural talent in any area that involves helping others to heal or find clarity or, like purpose, right? So any of these areas, and again, I say this because people often think that a purpose is life purpose coach or fireman, but it's actually, when you look at this, you could be a hairdresser, but the advice that you give your clients while they're sitting there pouring their heart out is healing for them. And so you might find that your business is booming because people are coming because like, oh my God, she's such a great listener. Every time she shares insight, like it's something. So that's more how that work purpose is in terms of the gift of being the life review counselor. You're also a dream master. So what this means is when you're in the other realm, you're the guy that will connect with people here in their sleep. Whether they need healing, whether they need guidance, you would come in their dreams and help them. You also, as a human here, you volunteer in the astrals to help starseeds, to help other guides. So if you find that you wake up feeling tired, even though you've had enough hours, it's because you astral travel. You can learn to stop this and kind of, put boundaries around this. But this is why it's like your star family says, we need help. And you volunteer, you're the first one to go. So you have to manage this with your physical body. So you might say, okay, tonight, I don't want to travel anywhere. I need my rest. Or you can also, because of that connection, it's mutual, you can also say, I need clarity on this. I need guidance on this, or I need healing. Perhaps you're trying to release something. So you can tell them that as well. Okay, so again, I just want to come back to, this is so cool. When you're the dream master, and I don't see many dream masters, you play these key roles in people's dreams. Like, I don't want to say you plant these dreams there, but you give them messages through their dreams, because that's that person, when they're awake, it's impossible to get through their analytical mind. So you code them with these dreams. Now, another thing for you to do here is, okay, so when we look at your work, for example, making people's dreams come true, basically. You're the connector. So I might come to you and say, Lena, I want this and this and this, but I don't know how, I don't see the clarity. And you are really good at finding that path and connecting me to, okay, if you want to be there, this is what you need to do. But they're saying your sleep is really, really important. So really, like, now that we know what could be happening, just ask, whenever you want a good rest, just say, I'm putting a boundaries out. Some of my clients, I've taught them to like visualize a light going off or a candle going off before you go to sleep. And that means I'm closed. I don't want to go. And also for you, do not overanalyze your dreams, whether it's the dreams that you have at night or whether it's your dreams. Like if something comes in and you're like, oh my God, yes, I desire this, I want this. Don't let anyone talk you out of it. Don't sit on it. Don't dwell on it. Like think, how am I going to make this happen? Okay. It came to you for a reason. And it's like, I almost want to say like your dream buddies over there connecting with you and giving you this information. How does this feel for you?
Yeah, I mean,
I
like
love
the
the
life
afterlife.
review counselor. Like I feel like I'm doing that in this life all the time, like all of these things. And I even wrote a couple weeks ago in some notes, like, what are the 3 key things I'm providing people in my work? And I wrote clarity, perspective, and comfort, which, yeah, I think really aligns with everything that you shared there. And then the dream master, that's just, well, it's just funny that you said, you know, even if you get enough sleep, you're tired. Because I literally said that the other day. Somebody asked me, you know, like, did you sleep well? And I said, well, like, yeah, but I'm still tired. I'm always still tired. Like it doesn't change. I'm always tired. Like,
Oh, I hear that. This happens to me, and I should know better, but I still forget, and I just go to sleep, and then I wake up, feeling tired. I feel like, oh my God, I feel like I've traveled to places. I can't even remember the dreams. So I'm not even trying to remember, but I just go like, I just feel like I was traveling somewhere. So yeah, so now we know that we can kind of put boundaries around this. The last thing I need to tell you about, and then I've got a bit of a drop in for you, like I said, that came in, is around the last thing that I need to tell you is your energy center. And this corresponds to the 7 archangels. Now, if we struggle with the concept of angels, just focus on the energy of it. But basically, when your soul was first or emerged from that sea of consciousness, that first time it was created, it went into one of the 7 archangelic realms. And each one is governed by an archangel, and each realm corresponds to one of our energy centers. So you, being a student of this particular archangel, you embody their energies. They are, of course, here to help you. I mean, you can call any archangel, but this is like your, as we used to say, guardian angel. And again, these qualities that you embody just go deeper and explain a little bit more about you. So your archangel, Lena, is actually Angel Oriel or Uriel. So it's either with a U or an AU. And your strongest chakra that connects you to this realm, to this archangel, is your root chakra, which means your basic needs are very important. Like you want to feel safe, you want to have shelter, food, that is really important. But also this energy center can be thrown out of balance the quickest, okay? One little thing and it throws you, and which means then you feel unsafe. You feel, perhaps worried or anxious about your future or the next steps. So what is really important for you is spending time in nature to recharge your batteries and ground yourself. So, generally people who have worked with Archangel Oriel and have that root chakra as their most dominant energy center, they're drawn to live off the grid or amongst nature. They don't generally want to live in the city, and if they do, they need to go and ground themselves. They have to sneeze. Sometimes life forces you, but generally that's what they want. They need to spend time amongst nature. So in terms of traits, you are compassionate, tolerant, nurturing. Again, connecting to nature is what grounds you, what kind of restores your balance. Protective of friends and lovers and loved ones. And often can be protective of environment or your community, like very fiercely passionate about it. Now, as a disciple of Archangel Oriel, again, looking at the other energies that are very similar and loving and caring and nurturing, strong boundaries. I can't emphasize how important that will be. And also don't let others take advantage of you because they think she doesn't mind. She's, soft touch or whatever they call it. And also be aware that people can become codependent of you very quickly. for you, I don't feel like it's so much you becoming codependent of others, but it's more that others can. And this can go into relationships. This can go into, I guess, friendships as well. Sometimes it's with parents, sometimes it's with clients, right? So just keeping the boundaries strong, and keeping that root chakra grounded. So I would actually, whenever you feel a little bit like off or not like yourself, just check intuitively whether your cord, your grounding cord, is connecting you to earth, whether your root chakra appears bright red and is spinning, or whether it feels a bit dull. So intuitively you can tune in, because that will be amazing. And also, you know, if you like to spend time in nature, if you like going for walks or going barefoot, or I don't know if there's a beach near you, but all that will help you. So the more you do it, the more. Do you have a dog?
No.
Okay, because they were showing me that a pet, they showed me a dog particularly, is like this motivator for you to, and grounding you as well. And they actually showed me a big sort of, I don't know whether it's a Labrador or whatever, but these big golden, maybe a retriever kind of dogs, and they're very grounding for you. And you know, like whether you know someone with a dog or, you know, but when you spend time with the dog, that will ground you as well. So that is in terms of your chart. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so. I mean, it's just generally like all very, which I always find with, you know, experiences like this, or I think even in the things that I offer, it's just so affirming and validating and like, you know, like confirmation.
I often go, oh yeah, this is stuff that I knew, or yeah, of course. And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't know this, you know. So to me, it's always like, yeah, this is so good. Like, yeah, if it resonates, you know, or it makes sense, or you knew it on some level, it's almost like, okay, you're either on purpose or like now you can switch because it resonated, you had that remembrance. But you're clearly on point with everything that you're doing. It just feels like you're in the right field. So now I just want to share with you, because a past life came in when I was channeling this, and because they're saying there's nothing for us to heal at this present in this session, could be the nature of the session or whatever. They haven't brought forward another lifetime, but they have brought forward yesterday when I was going over again and I was just tuning into your energy. And they showed me that your first incarnation on Earth was actually in Atlantis, and you looked like a goddess. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to make reference again to these beautiful mythical, you know, Greek goddesses, but that's like, you know, what you looked like. And you were in a temple. You were in a temple, and they were showing that there was sacred processes, procedures, like you were carrying something, you know, to this point, and there was this altar, and you had to put it down, and then you had to move the other way, and it was all choreographed. Like there were a few of you who were like preparing this ceremony. Now I feel like you were a apprentice or disciple of this priestess that was there. But the way you were dressed, and you know, and you were well taken care of, and you had everything, and I saw you also strolling through these gardens with these flowers, and there were crystals there as well. Like crystals were just like out in the open, and you seemed very happy and content. And having, I feel like, come down from Mintaka, this resonated with you because there was the water, crystalline water. So that was a nice, neat first incarnation. But also, I think they showed us to say that sometimes certain rituals are okay to have and not to confuse them with crutches. So I don't know whether you have particular things that you like to do a certain way, but maybe you've been told that, oh, watch out, don't make it your crutch. I feel like for you, it's actually really going to amplify your work if you have a moment where you take off the mask of the civilian, of Lena, the friend, you know, whatever, daughter, and you put on the mask of this facilitator, you know, the coach. And it's not about, you know, you have to deck your space out with crystals and oils and candles and cards for a coaching session, you know, because you have this connection that comes through as it is, and that probably wouldn't resonate. But to have some sort of ritual, if you don't already, or if you do, just keep embodying it and keep, I mean, embracing it, because it's really important for your work, and sort of kind of puts you into that natural pattern of you've always done it that way. Like in other lifetimes, you had certain patterns, certain maybe rituals that you did. Now, another thing that I saw, and this was really interesting, so I'm just going to share with you what I saw. But there was this beautiful white sailboat with this massive sail, and it was so white, and it just opened up on these crystalline waters, and all the buildings were so beautiful and just like a holiday town or something, but it was wide open. And that with that came this sort of liberation and freedom. And I don't know whether this was an activation for you, whether this is a remembrance, perhaps, I don't know, you've been on a sailboat, but this seemed quite significant. And the crystalline waters, and also it came in as a code for connecting with others. So this was interesting because the next thing they showed me, so after this liberation is freedom, and this massive white sail that was just open, they were showing me like almost like networking or connecting people and you. And so the more you do that, and sort of build a little community around you, the more fulfilled you will feel. And I don't know whether it is just life, work, but community, building that community around you felt really, really important. And again, then they showed me this Atlantis life where you were part of a community, and it didn't feel like, you know, sometimes I see past lives where someone has entered into a convent or, you know, became a sister, and it felt very limiting and conforming, and you know, it's like they became molded into this character. But for you, being part of this priestess entourage, it just felt like you knew your role. It felt like you had this freedom, but you were also looked after, cared for, and being part of that community, really that sisterhood almost felt really empowering. So that's that. That was it.
Amazing. I love this. Yeah, it's super interesting. And I've heard a lot about the Akashic records, but this is like my first, dipping my toes into my, my own or whatever.
Soul's blueprint. Yeah. And so another just thing, if I can say, so any energies that you have, like we spoke about the star seeds or your soul gifts, if you want to in a meditation, you just ask to connect with that and then bring down the qualities of this starseed. And like we spoke about Pleiadians, and you can Google it as well, like Pleiadians, Mentakians. But even the gifts, I mean, you've written them down, and just having them as a reminder that you have all these gifts. Sometimes we have crappy days and we feel like, I don't know what I'm doing. So connecting to that is going to be quite good and helpful. So thank you so much for letting me do this with you.
Oh, no, thank you. I'm so glad we did this. It's been really special.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Do you have any questions before we kind of wrap this up?
Um, Actually not about this, but I wondered if you could explain the difference between your earth school and your soul school.
Yeah, my the way I okay. So so Earth School is where we learn to merge the gap between us as humans and souls. So like we kind of pull apart these readings, and whether someone has had a reading with me or not, just explaining these sort of areas, learning how to tap into our energies, our gifts. And then Soul School is more for those who have done my psychic development course and are ready to be here as spiritual facilitators, maybe. So they want to work specifically in that. So then we just go a little bit deeper than that. But Earth School in itself, I mean, Earth School, like our world here, I just love this concept of us coming down here and learning more about, just playing around and just, yeah. Oh, thank you for asking. That was really special. It was so special for me to prepare this for you because sometimes I get everything in one go, and sometimes I have to go like twice because I'm like, okay, there's this information and that's it. And then I have to go in again. So this was really exciting for me to do. And as soon as I started, I tried not to tap in yesterday because we did my reading, but in preparation, I was sort of afterwards tapping in into your energy and just seeing if there's anything else. And it was so exciting because I love when someone is already on the path that they recognize, okay, they're living on purpose. And any
Yeah,
other kinks can be ironed out.
which very clearly came through in your reading as well, like that you are living on purpose.
Oh my God, that was like life-changing. And I couldn't even sit with it yesterday because I had to get ready for this Lionsgate ceremony. So I go like, oh God, but I just wanted to dive in and just, like allow it to sink in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, okay, we're going to wrap this up here.
Mm-hmm.